Carl here from Brrraaains Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's horror movie review time. Now, my issues with found-footage horror, I think, have been well documented over the years on the website and on this channel. But if there's one style I found I've enjoyed more than any other, it's when these movies go for the mockumentary angle. Films like We Are the Missing and Savage Land, which are two of my favourite modern versions of this. They were delightful horrors that captured a sense of realism that found footage was once lauded for. The combination of footage, interviews, telephone calls, internet history, news bulletins and characters piecing a mystery together can result in something that feels like a documentary, hence the term mockumentary. And that is what Horror in the High Desert nails. The wonderful combination of artistic licensing that you get with a documentary and enigmatic true crime horror. From writer-director Dutch Marich, Horror in the High Desert is all about the search for Gary Hinge, played by Eric Menzies, a young man who likes to go off the grid for days on end with few supplies. Also, he can share his experience with his blog followers. His latest excursion has seemingly resulted in disaster, though, as he has not come back and no one knows where he is. Gary's story and the deepening mystery surrounding his fate comes via his sister Beverly, played by Tonya Williams-Ogden, roommate Simon, played by Errol Porter, and local radio station reporter Gal Roberts, played by Susie Block. Through them, we find out about the kind of person Gary was and how unnatural his disappearance is. Not only that, we also find out details that could suggest several characters know more than they're letting on. Of course, while this might be interesting in a fully fledged documentary, Horror in the High Desert is a movie and needs to deliver more. The shift comes with the introduction of private detective Bill Solanero, played by David Morales, who is hired by Beverly when Gary's truck is found. From this point onwards, things get darker and things get more unsettling. Not just with Gary's story, but the lengths Bill will reach to get answers, and how cyberbullying has played a major part in Gary's disappearance. Heavy subject matters that are dragged into the light, yet in a natural way as the viewer falls down the rabbit hole with the characters. As the movie reaches its conclusion, it is easy to believe that film isn't going to give you the answers, that Gary's disappearance will never be solved, and that the true horror is never actually known. There's an argument that such an ambiguous ending would have been a smarter choice, but that's not what happens. Now, not every question is answered. Far from many questions are answered, but the big ones are certainly covered. How that sits with you will depend upon your taste, especially as the finale enters fully fledged found footage mode. Personally, it's the drop-off point for me, where it left a slightly sour taste in my mouth. Not enough to ruin the meal, even if there were the odd missteps throughout too, but notable. That being said, it is impressive just how real Horror in the High Desert feels. At times, it is easy to forget that you're even watching a horror movie and not a true crime documentary, which to me is testament to the mockumentary style and how investable the film is. Now, at this time of recording, when I originally wrote this review for the website, and I'm now retelling it in this video here, but when I wrote it, there were no sequels. There were no other Horror in the High Desert. Since I wrote that review, there have been two following films: Horror in the High Desert 2 Minerva and Horror in the High Desert 3 Firewatch. They will all be covered in video form as well, because as of now, I've now watched them and they continue this story. Knowing they exist and going back and reading what I wrote and talking about what I wrote here, particularly about the ending, I find it quite interesting that I was quite happy for it to be ambiguous. Instead of giving me as many answers as it does, because truth be told, it really doesn't on reflection. Hence why we've got two following films that continue to build upon and offer even more answers as we go on. Watching those two films as well, it's made me appreciate this one even more. Not because the other two are bad films or anything like that. They're strong films, and like I said, I will talk about them in other video reviews. But because this was an imaginative idea that has created what looks like a bit of a franchise, and fingers crossed it's telling this huge overarching story that could have a long-term impact. That's really cool, and I love that it started here, really, in a very simple idea that realistically I may never have even stumbled across in most circumstances. Many won't have, because they're low budget, very amateurish, easy to kind of overlook films. But it is Horror in the High Desert. I enjoy it. What do you reckon? You got any thoughts? You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.